Hello everyone, my name is Gwen and today I want to go through the books that I read in July. What month is it? I feel like July was a pretty good month for me as far as reading goes, so let's hop right into it and I will go over what I read. And I ended up reading a lot of library books this month, so I apologize if I don't have a lot of them with me. You'll just have to look at the pretty picture over here. Let me move so you can see us both. So the first book I read is The Westing Game by Ellen Raskin. This is the story of basically a bunch of kind of seemingly random people get an invitation to come and rent lofts from an apartment building, and it's like a really nice apartment building, and it's overlooked by this kind of like mansion that was run by, it sounds like it was kind of like a company town, so he was kind of the guy that like owned and ran like the town, and he supposedly passes away and sets a game of inheritance for all of these people to participate in, and just kind of mystery unfolds. Everyone's got their secrets and trying to figure out what's going on with the game, and I thought it was fun. There were moments where I was surprised. The twist and turn got me, and there were moments where it kind of was like, okay, like I know what the twist is going to be, you've laid it out, like can we hurry the characters along to getting this figured out now so we can move along with the story. If you do want a very fast kind of charming read, I do recommend it. I will say this was written, I want to say in like the 70s or something, so there is some very out of date language. Right, the next book I read was An Enchantment of Raven by Margaret Robertson. I ended up really loving this. I loved the couple, the kind of like love to hate to love roller coaster. I loved the fantasy world and the fair folk world and their customs, and reading her trying to navigate them with Rook, and all the while their romance budding and stuff. It was just really lovely, and I thought it was like the perfect length. It was just a really fun read. I'm sure most of all of you have probably read it by now. I remember it was like really big on BookTube like a few years ago when it came out, so I'm like way behind on the times, but I'm glad that I finally did get to it because I really enjoyed it. This is basically the story of, I'm totally forgetting the main girl's name. I remember Rook. She's a human living in a kingdom that is basically run by fair folk. She's a painter, so she ends up painting a portrait of the Autumn Prince, Rook, and they kind of start to get some feelings going, but then she commits like the ultimate sin of painting human emotion into Rook's eyes. So she is whisked away to stand trial for this crime, and a whole bunch of shenanigans and action and romance and all this stuff ensue, and it flew by. I really loved it. If you are like me and are way behind the times and haven't picked it up yet, I definitely recommend it. Alright, the next book I read was The Lamb Will Slaughter the Lion by Margaret Killjoy. This one didn't shine as brightly as I was hoping it would. I did end up enjoying it. It's a very short little novella, and something I think would have helped is I think it would have benefited from actually being like a full-length novel. So this is actually the first in a series. It's the Danielle Kane series. We follow Danielle, who is an anarchist, and she is searching for this kind of anarchist town that her friend was last in before he committed suicide. And when she gets there, she kind of finds their own little political rivalries going on, and small detail, there's a giant red demon deer that is killing and eating people. So because it's such a short novella, I don't want to go too much into it, but it's basically her trying to kind of figure out what's going on and help get the deer situation under control. I honestly, part of why I would love for this to have been like a full-length novel is I didn't feel like I got to really dive into the characters and the town and just kind of the world building as much as I would have really loved to. It's such an interesting idea, and I loved like what I got of the characters I really liked. Such a diverse cast of characters. I would have really loved to like spend more time with them. And I think the process of finding out what was going on and what needed to be done about the deer just felt like it went a little too fast for me. I would have loved for it to be a little bit more slow burn and kind of having a state of suspension and stuff. But I did really love it. I will continue to pick up books in the Daniel Kane series. I believe the next one, The Borrow Will Bring What It May, something like that, is either out or coming out soonish. It's the sequel to this one, and I will definitely pick that up. Margaret Killjoy also has other books out that I'm going to try and get my hands on. So yeah, for a fast, action-packed, diverse characters of different races and background and orientations and everything, I definitely recommend it. So next, the book I read was Nora is the New Black. This was kind of put together, I believe, by Sean Martinborough, but it's an anthology of 16 different stories by 40 different creators. They have a featured list. I'll kind of put it up here so you can pause it if you want to read it. But this is a comic anthology. The art is all really beautiful regardless of what artist did it. They all are very talented. The stories kind of ranged from to like I would love to see them be their own comic series so I can keep reading it. Some of them really grabbed me in the like few pages that they had, because I mean there's 16 stories and this is not that big. I will try to see if they are currently selling this just outside of the Kickstarter. If I can find it, I'll put it down below. I did enjoy it. I think if you are interested in a bunch of different comics told by Black authors, then that's definitely something that I recommend picking up. Alright, next I read the Bone Herder comic. This is by, I'm gonna butcher these, I'm really sorry, Zerlanier, Tuomo Mayer, Morgan Madeline, Sam Willoughby, and Lucas Gattoni. This was also a Kickstarter. I don't believe this is available for individual purchase. I will link the Kickstarter page down below so you can kind of keep an eye on it, because normally what they do is if they release the Kickstarter again for like volume 2, usually some sort of package you can buy that will also come with the first one, so you can keep an eye out for that if you're interested in this. This is about Cass, who is taken from her home to be trained as a bone herder, and they have the gruesome job of living in this land of flesh folk where they have to flay and basically kill people who have done wrong, and they bury the bones for the flesh folk to come and take. The art is lovely. If I can get that page to show. The second half of this is like all the concept art and stuff for how they made it, and like their scripts for the panels and everything, so it's really cool. I did enjoy it. It's kind of your normal comic length, so you don't get a lot of story per volume. We just kind of got Cass's starting point of being taken from her home, but I did enjoy it. You probably, if you are on Discord or Instagram with me, you probably saw me freaking out over how beautiful this cover is. I definitely recommend trying to get your hands on it. Again, I'll link the Kickstarter down below so y'all can keep an eye out. Alright, the next book I spread through real quick was The 30-Day Money Cleanse by Ashley Feinstein Gersley. I'm sorry if I butchered your middle name. This was just a quick little, I like reading finance books. I think if you are someone who money is very emotional for you and you need a more gentle, like, here's kind of a gentle process, and I'm not gonna beat on you for making mistakes, and it's okay, and we're gonna kind of slowly work through this at your own pace and that sort of stuff, then I think this would probably be a good book for you. I don't think any of the tips or anything in there were like revolutionary, but I did still enjoy it. I think it was fine. Alright, after that I read The Obsession by Jessie Q. Sutano. This was on my list for most anticipated 2021 releases, and I'm glad my library got it in. I really enjoyed this. The only really complaint I have is that the ending just didn't quite give me the satisfaction I wanted. It wasn't quite the bang I was expecting and hoping for. It was still a good ending, like I am still satisfied with the ending. It just wasn't like everything else was so strong and tense and everything, and was kind of built up to we're just gonna have this explosive ending, and we just didn't quite get that. So this one, I feel like I'm just gonna read you the synopsis because I don't want to give too much away. It says, Logan thinks he and Delilah are meant to be. Delilah doesn't know who Logan is. Logan believes no one knows Delilah like he does. He makes sure of it by learning everything he can, watching her through a hidden camera. Some might call him a stalker. Logan prefers to be called romantic. Delilah is keeping secrets, though, deadly ones. There's so much more to her than meets the eye. Logan is determined to make Delilah the heroine in his twisted fantasy, and he'll do anything to get what he wants. Delilah is done with the men in her life controlling her. If Logan won't let her go, she'll make. A detail that I also really enjoyed, and I guess less enjoyed and more just like appreciated about this, was like Logan's like the school hottie, so it didn't fall into that trope of like, oh, the creepy stalker guy is like not a conventionally attractive dude that just it always seems to fall into. Like, he's like wealthy, privileged, attractive guy. I won't go into that more because I don't want to ruin anything for you. I think this is definitely one you just need to dive into and experience. I really loved it. I still gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. I believe this is her debut novel, so I will definitely be picking up like anything else she buys. I will buy my own copy. This is the library copy. So yeah, I love it. I'm hoping all of her books are this good and she can be a new favorite author. All right, next for my library, I picked up a copy of Aesop's Fables. This is kind of, I think the wording was kind of modernized, and the illustrations are by Jerry Pinkley. I mean, you can see the illustrations on the cover, but they're all like really lovely. I just wanted to read Aesop's Fables, and I wanted to try to read as many as I could. I kept finding anthologies. It was like 12 stories or what have you. This has like 60. I don't know how many there were or if that's all, but yeah, it was fun to read them. The illustrations were lovely. I will say there were a lot of stories that I totally thought were either like, not Brothers Grimm, because they did more like longer stories, but I thought they were more like Mother Goose, and they were Aesop's Fables. So that was interesting. I enjoyed the stories. They were cute. And the last book I kind of squeezed into July was The Phantom Tollbooth by Norton Juster. This is a reread. I do enjoy this book quite a bit. It's just very like kind of whimsical and fun and easy read, and I really enjoy just like the kind of everything's kind of a word play. I just really enjoy that aspect of it. So I was kind of stuck where I'm like, I don't have time to squeeze in like a normal novel or anything before the end of July, but I want to squeeze in one more book. So I decided I would just give this a reread. I really enjoy it. It's about Milo, who is a kid with like too much time on his hands, and he's just not quite appreciating everything he's got. He ends up getting a random kind of Phantom Tollbooth shows up. He kind of puts the toy money in and finds himself transported to a kingdom where there is basically a disagreement between Digitopolis, which is the kingdom of numbers, and Dictionopolis, which is the kingdom of words, and he has to kind of help bring them together and go rescue the princesses Rhyme and Reason to bring them back and kind of make sense and get everything back on the right page. There's nothing particularly deep about this, but I think it's cute. I love the wordplay. Definitely one of my kind of favorite reads. So that is all of my July reads. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Let me know what was your favorite book you read in July. Have you read any of these books before, and what did you think about them? Thank you for coming. Subscribe if you would like to, and I will see you next time. Bye!